All right, so get this. We're diving into Demi Moore's surprise win at the Golden Globes.
Yeah, it really did catch everyone off guard.
It's her first major acting award, and she's been in Hollywood for like, what, 45 years?
Something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. She's been a household name forever. Ghost. A Few Good Men.
Total classic. So why now?
That's the million-dollar question, right? What made this film, the substance, the one to finally get her this recognition?
That's what we're going to unpack today. We've got articles, reviews, even some Reddit threads that are buzzing about her win the movie and what it all means.
It's a lot to dig into.
It is. We'll be looking at how the film blends horror and social commentary, her acceptance speech, and whether this is like a career comeback or just a one-off.
One thing that jumps out is how the substance is kind of breaking the mold.
How so?
Well, it's being described as a mix of Carrie with a dose of social commentary. It's got this stylish body horror vibe, but it also tackles some serious topics.
Right.
Like aging in Hollywood and the insane pressure on women to look a certain way.
And the critics are loving Moore's performance.
Oh, absolutely. They're saying she's fearless.
Yeah.
And there's this one scene where she's confronting her reflection that's supposed to be just gut-wrenching.
Wow. I mean, it's almost poetic, right? A film about an aging actress battling Hollywood's obsession with youth. Wins Demi Moore her first big award after all these years of navigating the same waters.
You can't make this stuff up. And even online, people are pointing out the irony.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're bringing up her iconic roles from G.I. Jane to Indecent Proposal and asking, like, why did it take so long for her to get this kind of recognition?
Right. And remember that typo in that Washington Post article title?
The wherever first one?
Yeah, that thing went viral. It kind of sums up how a lot of people are feeling.
Like they can't quite believe it.
Exactly. It shows you how deeply ingrained these ideas about actors and their careers can be. Even a little typo becomes this big symbolic thing.
It's wild. Okay, so let's get into the substance itself. What's the plot about? What are the themes?
Phyllis.
So the film is about this Hollywood star, Elizabeth Sparkle, played by Moore.
Yeah.
And she's dealing with getting older in an industry that's obsessed with youth.
Relatable.
Totally. She finds this experimental drug. It's like this neon green concoction that lets her turn into a younger version of herself.
Who plays the younger her?
Margaret Qualley.
Yeah.
But here's the catch. These two versions of Elizabeth can't exist at the same time. They have to switch back and forth every week.
So it's like a body swap movie, but with age reversal.
Exactly. But of course, it gets more complicated. The younger version starts to really enjoy being young and doesn't want to switch back.
Oh, so there's conflict.
Big time. Classic horror movie trope, right?
Hmm.
Breaking the rules always comes back to bite you.
And from what I've read, the film doesn't shy away from the darker side of all this.
Definitely not. Some reviews even call it gory and disturbing.
Oh, wow.
But what's interesting is that a lot of critics are praising the film for using those graphic elements not just for shock value, but to show the toll it takes on Elizabeth.
Physically and emotionally.
Right. It forces the audience to confront the ugly side of this obsession with youth and beauty.
So it's not just a horror film, it's making a statement about the pressure women face.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what's got everyone talking. The Washington Post called it Carrie meets social commentary, highlighting how it uses horror to deliver a powerful message.
It's using those elements to get us thinking about the lengths people will go to for acceptance and the price they pay.
That's a great way to put it. This idea of sacrificing your true self for the illusion of success, that's something everyone can relate to.
Yeah, it goes way beyond Hollywood. It's about trying to fit in, trying to be enough, and what happens when you lose sight of who you are.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay, so we've talked about the movie itself, but we can't forget about Moore's acceptance speech.
I know, right? It's been all over the internet.
It was really something. She talked very openly about the struggles she's had in her career being called a popcorn actress and being told she couldn't be both successful and critically acclaimed.
Oh.
She even said she thought about leaving Hollywood because of all the pressure and limitations.
It's pretty amazing how she used her acceptance speech to talk about these issues head on.
She didn't just thank people. She talked about her journey, her struggles, and ultimately her triumph.
And doing that while accepting an award for a film that tackles those very same themes just adds another layer to it all.
It really does. It's like art imitating life, or maybe life imitating art.
It makes you think.
It really does.
Okay, we're going to pause here for a moment, but stay with us. We'll be back to unpack the impact of this win on Moore's career and what it might mean for other actresses in Hollywood. So before the break, we were talking about how Demi Moore used her Golden Globes acceptance speech to open up about some of the stuff she's dealt with in Hollywood.
It was really powerful. And it makes you wonder what this means for her career going forward.
And for other actresses too, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, could this be a turning point?
I'm curious what impact you think this might have on casting decisions. Do you think we'll see more actresses in Moore's age range getting those complex roles?
It's tough to say for sure, but it's not just about her. Her Just Substance got 5 Golden Globe nominations overall.
That's true. It wasn't just a critical success for Moore, the whole film was recognized.
Exactly. That shows you the industry as a whole took it seriously.
And don't forget, it won in the musical or comedy category.
Oh, yeah, that sparked some debate.
People were like, wait a minute, a film this dark and intense winning for comedy.
Right. There's a whole Reddit thread dedicated to that very question. Should The Substance even be in that category?
What do people think?
It's mixed.
Yeah.
Some say the satirical elements and the dark humor justify it, while others see it as straight-up horror drama.
I can see both sides.
Me too. But the debate itself is interesting because it shows how The Substance is bending the rules.
It's not fitting into those neat little boxes.
Exactly. And maybe that's why it's grabbing so much attention.
It's making everyone rethink what a horror film, a comedy, or even a film about aging can be.
And it's definitely getting people talking. Bringing us back to Moore's acceptance speech. Did you catch the part where she quoted a woman who told her, "Just know you will never be enough, but you can know the value of your worth if you just put down the measuring stick."
Oh, yeah, that was a powerful line.
Especially in Hollywood, where there's so much focus on external validation and beauty standards.
It really makes you think about the timing of all this. She's had a long career, but this is her first major award, and it happens when she's being so open about the challenges she's faced as an actress over 45.
It feels like a moment of validation for her, for sure.
Like everything's coming together.
Right. And The Substance itself is almost like a reflection of Hollywood. Her character, Elizabeth, is trying so hard to stay relevant in an industry that often pushes women aside once they hit a certain age.
You know, some critics have said that the film's social commentary is a bit heavy-handed.
I've heard that too.
What do you think?
There are definitely parts that are pretty obvious, like that neon green potion that represents the false promise of youth.
Yeah, and then there are the body horror elements, which some people find over the top.
I think those choices are intentional, though. I don't think the director is going for subtlety.
She wants to make a statement.
Exactly. She wants to show the lengths people, especially women, are pressured to go to and how messed up that is.
So the graphic stuff isn't just for shock value. It's meant to make us uncomfortable.
And to really see the ugliness of those societal pressures.
And I guess the humor in the film helps to balance out those darker parts.
Yeah, it creates this weird tone where you're laughing one minute and cringing the next.
So is this win just a fluke, a perfect storm, or could it be the start of something bigger?
I mean, we are seeing more films and TV shows with older actresses in leading roles playing characters that aren't just stereotypes.
So maybe things are changing.
It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But Hollywood can be slow to change. So it's hard to say if this is a real shift or just a temporary thing.
What would be some signs that real change is happening?
We'd need to see more diverse casting across the board, not just in terms of age, but also race, ethnicity, body type, you name it.
And more stories that focus on the experiences of women over 40?
Yes, but not just as supporting characters. They need to be the main characters with their own stories and complexities.
And it can't just be about who's in front of the camera. The people writing, directing, and funding these films need to be diverse too.
Absolutely. It's a systemic problem, so it needs a systemic solution.
That's a good point. So even if this is just a single moment, it's still a powerful one.
For sure. Moore's win has started a conversation, and that's important.
People are thinking about ageism in Hollywood, about the stories being told and who gets to tell them.
Which is a step in the right direction.
Okay, we're going to take another quick pause here, but stick with us. We'll be back to wrap up our deep dive with some final thoughts on what this all means and what questions we should be asking ourselves going forward. All right, we're back. And, we've talked about a lot in this deep dive into Demi Moore's kind of unexpected win, from the film itself to this whole bigger conversation that started about ageism and representation and what stories Hollywood's telling. So as we wrap things up, what stands out to you as like the most significant takeaway?
It's amazing to me how this one event has become this cultural touchstone.
Yeah.
It's sparking all these different conversations. It's not just about Demi Moore getting an award. It's about what that win means for her career, her journey in the whole film industry.
Right, it's like her story is hitting on so many levels, both personal and societal. And it's cool how the substance itself is really tapping into something people are feeling. It's not your typical feel-good movie,
Yeah.
but it's clearly connecting with audiences who want something different, something that challenges the way things are.
Yeah, it seems like people are drawn to stories that show the real world, even if those stories are being told through genres that have always been seen as just entertainment.
And the substance is a perfect example of that, right? Mixing horror, comedy, social commentary.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned earlier how some critics thought the film's social commentary was a little too obvious.
Yeah, like it was hitting you over the head with its message.
Do you think that hurts the film's impact?
I don't know. What do you think?
It depends. I think some people like subtlety and others want things spelled out. In this case, I think the film being so bold is part of why people like it. It's not afraid to just come right out and say what it's about.
So it's like the film is a mirror reflecting back all of our own anxieties about aging and beauty and the need to fit in.
Exactly. And it's doing that through a genre that's all about fear
Mm.
and the grotesque, which makes it even more powerful. It makes you confront those anxieties in a really intense way.
And it's happening at a time when there's this growing push for diversity and inclusion in Hollywood. So could Moore's win be like a catalyst for more films that challenge the usual narratives and explore these kinds of complex themes?
It could be. Her win has definitely put a spotlight on these issues, and Hollywood pays attention to what's creating buzz. I wouldn't be surprised to see more films tackling similar themes, and not just in horror comedies either.
Yeah, across all genres.
Exactly.
It's interesting to think about how award shows play into all of this too. You know, for a long time, certain kinds of films and performances were seen as more award-worthy than others. So do you think Moore's win for the substance signals a shift in that thinking?
It's definitely something to consider. It might encourage award voters to look at films that break the rules and push the boundaries a little more. Plus, the film's nominations for Best Director and Best Supporting Actress show that people recognize the film's quality beyond just Moore's performance.
So it's not just a win for her. It's a win for the film and for the kind of storytelling it represents.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what makes this whole thing so fascinating. It's not just about an actress finally getting recognized. It's a much bigger deal with potential impacts that go way beyond this one film and this one award season.
It's like we're watching a cultural moment unfold, right? A change in how we see aging and representation and the power of stories to challenge the norm.
And I think that's the main point here. Whether this leads to actual change in the industry or not, it's a moment that's gotten our attention and started some important conversations,
And those conversations can create change.
even if it's slow.
So to our listeners, as we finish up this deep dive, we want to leave you with this: pay attention to the stories that speak to you, the ones that challenge you and make you think differently.
Don't be afraid to talk about them either. Share your thoughts, debate them, support the kind of storytelling you want to see.
Because in the end, we, the audience, have the power to shape what films get made.
That's right. The power is not just in the hands of the people making the movies.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. We hope you keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going. Then